What is the real secret to losing that stubborn belly fat? In today's episode, I'm going to break all of that down for you. To begin with, I will tell you why, in the first place, we accumulate so much fat on the belly. I'll also answer one of the most commonly asked questions on the internet today: how fast can I lose my belly fat? And finally, I'm going to break this down into a 4-step process that will help you drop that belly fat in a science backed and a sustainable. First things first, why does belly fat even matter? If you could look inside someone's belly, you will find fat stored in two places. First, the padding just under the surface of the skin. This is called subcutaneous fat. It feels soft, jiggly, and you can grab it with your fingers. And relatively speaking, it is not as harmful. That said, it contributes to overall body fat and adds to the overall metabolic load. Second, the type of fat that sits deep inside the abdomen, clinging onto your organs like your liver, pancreas, stomach, and your intestines. This is called visceral fat. It is dangerous, contributes to chronic inflammation. It is metabolically active and interferes with your hormones and organ function. Visceral fat is very strongly linked to health issues like type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. And that's the reason why belly fat matters. Yes, it doesn't look too nice. I mean, who wants to carry that pot belly, right? But the real concern is deeper. It's the downstream impact on your health. It's a root cause of all lifestyle diseases that have the potential to make our lives extremely uncomfortable. Now, why do we accumulate so much fat in the belly? There are a few factors at play here. First, if you're a man, you're already at a risk of accumulating more belly fat. Our bodies preferably store more fat around the midsection compared to women. Second, for women specifically, the hormonal changes post menopause lead to a shift in fat distribution patterns from accumulating more fat in the lower body to accumulating more fat in the belly. Third, if you are an aging individual, you are at a risk of storing more belly fat because the fat cells start excreting more inflammatory factors and also get redistributed from subcutaneous to visceral fat stores as we age. Fourth, if you carry a lot of long term stress, stress in itself is not bad, but if you're not able to manage your long term stressors and your cortisol is chronically elevated, it does lead to fat storage in the belly. And finally, if you're someone who carries more body fat at an overall level, which happens due to overeating, you are very likely to accumulate more fat in your midsection also in that case. So, individuals with a high amount of subcutaneous fat also generally have a high amount of visceral fat. Please note that you could be carrying more visceral fat even if you relatively look lean, and that's what we know as skinny fat. We generally see that in Indian men a lot, and it's dangerously harmful. We really can't do much about a genetics, gender, or age, but there are things that you have full control over, and those are very impactful tools when it comes to shredding your belly fat. Which brings me to my next segment: how do you lose belly fat? Now, before I get into details, I need you to know that you cannot spot reduce body fat from the belly, or for that matter, from any other part of the body. The reason I'm telling you this is because the sooner you give up on things that don't work, the sooner you can start doing things that work. Now, step one: establish a baseline. This can be any metric that you are comfortable with. You can choose to do a body composition analysis. It's a simple test available at most gyms. It'll tell you the amount of visceral fat and overall body fat you carry. You can also do waist circumferences. It's simple and you can do this at home. Maybe take progress pictures and compare week over week. Anything that works for you. But you will need that one metric you can hold yourself accountable to. I personally like progress pictures a lot. It's my moment of truth. If you're doing this, I would suggest you take a front, side, and back profile so you can compare all three. Once that is done, let's move on to step two. Find an activity that you enjoy doing. It could be yoga, dance, brisk walk, Pilates, playing a sport, or anything you can stick to for the long term. That said, I'd highly recommend you start lifting weights if you're not doing it already, because weight training helps you build muscle, and that means a higher basal metabolic rate. Basically, the amount of calories that you burn at rest. Muscle is more expensive for the body to maintain, and that makes it an essential feature in your fat loss toolkit. To make things simple, lift weights 3 days in a week, alternate days, and just head out for a brisk walk the other 3 days. You can also use a treadmill and do an incline walk if you want to push a little bit more intensity. Next up, learn how to build a caloric deficit. This is the real key to losing belly fat. Caloric deficit simply means consuming less calories than what your body burns. And that is the qualifying criteria for fat loss. You can't drop fat until you are in a caloric deficit, period. You can take whatever fat burners that exist on this planet, but if you can't control what and how much you eat, you will not lose fat. And that makes fat burners a waste of your money. Let's understand caloric deficit. You have to first find out your total daily energy expenditure. Basically, the total amount of calories your body burns in a day. It's a combination of four things. Number one, BMR, basal metabolic rate. We spoke about it. The amount of calories your body burns to simply exist. Second, exercise and purposeful movement. This includes your gym sessions, runs, etc. Third, non-exercise activity, which means how active you are outside of that purposeful exercise. So if you're someone who takes the stairs instead of elevators, plays with your kids a lot, or you're just fidgety, you have an advantage in your fat loss goals. And finally, thermic effect of food. The amount of calories your body burns to digest food. For example, we know that protein has the highest cost of digestion compared to other macros. So if you're eating more protein, you burn more calories, which makes eating more protein an important feature in your fat loss toolkit. You can find this out on a TDEE calculator. I'll in fact link it in the description. It won't take more than a couple of minutes for you to find out your estimated TDEE. Just enter your age, gender, activity levels, and the tool gives you the number. Be honest when you answer those questions, because in my experience, I've seen people overestimate their activity and underestimate their food intake. So just be a little conservative. When you have your TDEE, there are a few methods that you can deploy to build a caloric deficit. You can start weighing your food, and you feed that information on a calorie tracking app. It'll tell you how many calories you are consuming every day. And as long as that number is below your TDEE, you are in the right place. We know this method works, but it's a bit stringent. And if you are not up for it, I will tell you a simpler method. It's called the plate system. You divide your plate into 3 sections, 2 quarters and 1 half. 50% of the plate should have vegetables and fruits. 1 quarter will be your starchy carbohydrates like pasta, rice, etc. And the remaining quarter will be protein like chicken, fish, tofu, edamame, beans, eggs, and anything else. Stick to this template and weigh yourself in a couple of weeks. If you've lost weight, congratulations, you are in a caloric deficit. If you haven't, time to bring in a smaller plate and reduce your portion sizes. It takes some trial and error, but in general, 2 to 3 weeks are enough to guide you in the right direction. And what I like about this system is that it's flexible, allows you to play around with your food choices within the template. I'd also highly recommend that you write down what your favorite foods are in each of these categories within the plate. You like white rice? Write it down. You like pasta? Make a note of it. And eat only those foods. I mean, it's important for you to enjoy your food. And as long as you are sticking to the right portion sizes, you can keep eating your favorite foods and still lose fat. And finally, learn how to prioritize sleep. You will be surprised to know that poor sleep is very strongly linked to fat storage in the belly. There was actually a study that was done with respect to sleep and where the body stores fat. The subjects were divided into 2 different groups, where both the groups were allowed to freely eat how much ever they wanted to, except that one group was allowed to sleep 4 hours a night and the other group was allowed 9 hours at a stretch. Eventually, the researchers saw that the sleep-deprived group overall ate more calories, which could have happened due to the impact of poor sleep on hunger-regulating hormones. But because they were all spoiled for food, both the groups gained fat. Now here is what's mind-blowing. Both the groups gained a more or less similar amount of subcutaneous fat. What's important here is that the group that was not allowed to sleep gained 11% more visceral fat compared to 0% in the other group. What this tells us is that if you're not sleeping enough, your body preferentially stores more fat in the belly. And that makes sleep another powerful weapon against belly fat. That's it. This is what works. Do just this consistently, and you will never need fat loss gimmicks that exist on the internet. Now, it would mean a lot if you could subscribe to the channel. It'll help us amplify our reach and spread the good word. And if you do have any questions with respect to your health, do reach out. We are here to help.